Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Apologize for that background noise, but I got to start recording when I can, and I got to do this while I can. So anyway, I'm pulling away from it, and hopefully away from this police officer I think that just pulled up behind. Oh wait, that's right, I'm not in the States. This happens a lot, you know. I mean, a cop will pull up somewhere, and and since their police cars actually sometimes look similar to U.S. police cars, I'm like, they kind of look like the LAPD cruisers. And sometimes I have to remind myself, I'm not in the belly of the beast. These guys are not going to lynch me. So anyway, I'm going to be in the States in a little bit, inshallah, and I'll try to do a live from there. But I realize my life's going to be busy all the time. I'm going to be busy when I'm in the States. I got to be in several different places. I'm going to be busy when I get back here. I'm busy now. I mean, a day my wife was like, my mom's coming, we got to clean. And I said, if you already called someone to come clean tomorrow, what are we cleaning for? And I had to tell her, even, listen, you're not organizing my stuff. Don't go on my nightstand and start trying to put my stuff in drawers. I don't care how it looks. I know everything is. That ain't your problem. So I'm always busy. And she's right to want to get the place in order for her mother. No one blames her for that. I'm just saying you got to do it one way or another. You're not going to sit up here and pay a lady to come in and clean up tomorrow, and then you still put you and me to work today. No, which one is it going to be? But in any case, I am grateful to Malaika, Mebane, and to Jacques for coming through on the Cash App. And Jacques, I want to thank you too for what you have done to send me links to keep me abreast of international news. I admit that lately I've not been keeping up, and that ain't your fault. It's just me being busy. When I was on vacation, I was still busy. And that's one thing about, I'm going to tell you, this is one thing about being married to women of African descent, period. They're going to have a mind of their own, and they're going to tell it to you. The good ones are going to tell you their mind politely, and not necessarily for the purpose of challenging you, but for the purpose of discussion, comparing ideas, combining good ideas with each other, combining mental resources for a better outcome. That's the good one. I got lucky. And this is part of why it is I tell you all so much of what I tell you all about all of this, about marriage and male chastity, and how not to be taken for a ride by these broads, even if you're not looking for marriage, which is very unchaste of you. But even if you out there fornicating, I don't want them taking advantage of you. I just want you to understand, if you're seeking fornication, they will take advantage because they're going to find a way. And they got men that are going to protect them so that they can do that. And even I am willing to protect my daughters to a certain extent. The difference is I'm not willing to protect some so-called right to fornicate. I don't recognize that. And that's why I differ from them. And many of you, when you think about it, you realize you're not willing to protect their right to fornicate and to play these men. They didn't do anything to them, let alone commit adultery at the expense of good, loving husbands. You're not willing to recognize and be okay with that. Most of you like, no, we're not doing that. But I want to tell y'all, Jacques has helped me out. And from both news I've been able to see otherwise and news that he has sent, I've been able to understand what you now see in the title of this. And that is, the world is upside down. And I'm going to tell you why it appears such. And the reason why is because this is not all a sham. But there is a lot of misunderstanding even on the part of those that are involved in this. And when I say this, I'm referring to several things. Number one, the comeuppance of Africa with the alliance of the Sahel states at the center of this comeuppance, this arise, this renewal, this about face that Africa is beginning to do, led by the alliance of the Sahel states, which is being led by Ibrahim Traore. In this, even though he does not even claim to be the leader of that alliance, he only claims to be the head of state for Burkina Faso, and he did not even want that position permanently. He was elected. He is one of 3 heads of state that govern the 3 nations that form the alliance of the Sahel states, in which membership is being sought by other nations. With this being said, his ally is Putin. So now you're seeing a case where France does not hold sway in Africa like it used to. Because what are they going to do when they're told to get out? Remember, they were fighting a bedbug infestation in their homeland. What are they going to do in Africa? And while this is going on, instead of them trying to imitate other leaders of other African states to seem more normal and palatable to the rest of the world, the other leaders of other African states are trying to imitate them now. Look at John Duma, who heads Botswana, Africa's closest thing to a real-life Wakanda in terms of the benefits to its citizens. He has taken off the suit and put on the military fatigues. John Duma, who has made the Botswanan government very aware that he knows why it is that Ibrahim Traore can do things that he can't do. He has said when Ibrahim Traore says it, that's it. They respond. If I wish to do something or you wish to do something, we must each go through the other because we have a balance of power, because we already have the stability we seek. This is necessary to a certain extent. But in any case, I also want to explain to you all that Putin, being Ibrahim Traore's ally, means something that Traore may not understand. Traore is fighting a fake coin version of the same thing that Putin authentically faced and then crushed. The Chechen revolt was about Islamic autonomy. That's what it was about. He crushed that. Boris Yeltsin allowed it de facto. He came in, crushed it. I'm not going to forgive Putin for that. What did you do that for? I think he was the one that was in charge when those 2 spies went and killed Alexander Litvinenko, who spilled the beans on an operation in which they had to blow up, they had to take out their own apartment buildings in Moscow and then blame the Chechens for doing it when it wasn't them, in order to get Russian support against Chechnya. He spilled the beans. That was a false flag operation. What I'm saying could be dangerous, but I'm merely explaining to you why it is that the world seems so topsy-turvy now at this point. Ibrahim Traore is facing fakes, from what I can tell. He's facing fakes who have been funded. And I say that based on evidence that I have seen with my own 2 eyes, in which some men that were captured and thought to be a part of the outfit in Nigeria that is believed to have kidnapped and done unspeakable things to many schoolgirls. Well, that outfit had some of its members were captured a long time before that kidnapping, a long time before that. And the men that were captured in that outfit were asked, well, how did you join? Where are you from? Who are you? Where are you from? And how did you join? And they were Christians, at least in name, that joined because they were offered money to join in arms, and they didn't have any other jobs, so they joined. I kid you not. They had nothing to do with Islam. That was the issue going on a long time ago. And the features has actually shown receipts that show that one side is funded by the CIA and the other one is funded by the Pentagon. So therefore, Traore is fighting actual fakers that are a problem because they fake. Putin, his ally, would have him fight the real deal if they popped up again, and the real deal is not the problem. The real deal wants the Sharia law in place for the Muslims, and that's not an issue. Believe me, that is not a problem. Northern Nigeria states experimented with this. They didn't abandon it because it failed. They abandoned it because they were going to be attacked from everywhere. No support. That's why. Crime and corruption really greatly decreased during the time of the Sharia courts being in place. Same thing happened in Somalia. When the Islamic courts union was intact, a lot of court cases got solved within hours. Land disputes going on 20 years were solved within hours. Because the judges they were monitored so they couldn't take bribes. Nope, no bribes. We're going to check your finances. You can have another job or something, but if you just all of a sudden got some extra money with no other business, it's your behind. You're not a judge anymore. That was the end of that. Now court cases had to be judged on evidence. The bribery was coming to an end. We know what happened then at that point. And the group that was the enforcement wing, literally named the youth in the Arabic language, well, they got scattered, and then all of a sudden, as they were being scattered, new ones were popping up that had no brains. Probably had sincerity, but no brains, no learning. And that's a problem too. So because of this is why it is that things seem topsy-turvy right now. And that does work out for both good and bad ends. But right now, most of what we're seeing is good. Africa's coming up. It's not being taken advantage of so easily in the mother cuss word mode. And I thank Allah for that. But also Iran and Israel are involved in this spat. And we don't know how long it will last. But this is really turning everything on its head because Iran is heavily infiltrated. And Iran's proxies in the Levant, the Levantine Arab states, are also heavily infiltrated. The Mossad will tell you they've infiltrated a lot of these parties, especially Hezbollah. They killed many of them, and then their replacements were infiltrators. And the same thing has happened in Iran. Israel's got a heavy infiltration network in Iran. Yet and still, they got pummeled. They launched an attack, and they got pummeled in retaliation, and they're getting pummeled in retaliation. Both of them are punishing each other, but they're actually being mutually punished. They're not doing what they're doing with impunity anymore. So the nations may legitimately be ticked off at each other. But I'm letting you guys know, you've heard the term ménage à trois. There's also a ménage à quatre, meaning a meeting of four, a tryst of four. Those four, well, a nation that has jurisdiction over me, Israel, Iran, and India. Those are the four. So really, behind the scenes, Iran and Israel are on the same team. Oh yeah, Iran has had communication with the United States through backdoor channels for the longest. I know, right? Shocking, isn't it? So I don't know how long this will last, how serious they really are, but they're on the same team. Eventually, they're going to have to fuck the shuck up, start talking to each other again. That's all I know. One other thing I'm aware of, too, is this. The white supremacist element is serious in all of them. You already know India's religion is white supremacy because it's a part of Hinduism. They made it such. I don't think it's in the text, but they've made it a part of Hinduism. Iran, well, Some would say, wait a minute, no, you can't say nothing, they Muslim. Well, I'm going to tell you now, a lot of early, let me call them splinters. Let me refer to them as that. A lot of early splinters wrote racist literature. And unfortunately, it was falsely attributed to regular run-of-the-mill Sunni Arabs of ancient times. Well, let's say about 1400 years ago. Some of you mistakenly think that Lebanon's racism is the same as the Gulf, or that Iran's racism is the same as the Arab countries' racism. They're not really the same, to be honest with you. Black students who have gone to study on scholarship in Iran normally don't finish, and they've come back traumatized. I don't know that this has happened in recent decades, but 70s and 80s, it was going on. Yeah, it was going on. They get scholarships, they go study, and they be back in their home countries traumatized. You want to talk about people who cannot treat black folks like equals? Look at Iran. They can't even treat Iranians of Arab descent as equals. How you think they're going to treat a Negro, an African? How you think they're going to treat us? It's embedded. Mind you, Iran got its name from the Aryan people. The Aryan people were the first racists as far as anybody can trace back. So, what does this have to do with you? Why am I talking about it? Well, the best thing for you and I to do is the same thing that we need to do with regards to ICE and immigrants in the States. We observe, we sit back, we don't necessarily hate anyone that doesn't hate us, but we do say we're not going to help either one. You don't call ICE and tell them where a non-white immigrant, especially a black immigrant, is hiding, and you don't tell them where to hide from ICE. They come to you and ask you, hey, can you help? If either one of them ask you for help, you hold your hands up and you say, fuck both of y'all. I'm black. This is not my problem. I don't have information that would help you, and I don't want it. You want to know where to hide? I don't know where to hide. I don't give a rat's ass. It's not my problem. We were down for an alliance a long time ago. Y'all ain't never been down with one. You, Mr. Officer with a badge, you want to know if I have any information on illegal immigrants? Well, I don't know anybody that I know is an illegal immigrant, and I don't want to know. It's your problem, not mine. We came as illegal immigrants, and we didn't ask to do it. The crime was not ours, but the kidnappers. So both of y'all, leave us out of it, close your damn mouths. We're going to stay at home. We're going to get this money. You guys figure this out. And don't come asking us to help y'all again, because both of y'all are white supremacists, and we're black. And when you look at Iran and Israel, keep an eye out. But don't really be willing to back either one up over the other. Because don't neither one of them, as cultures or as governments, neither one really fibs a guck about us. They don't have to. It's not a requirement that they like us and love us. It is a requirement that they treat us fairly, but their cultures are so ingrained with unfairness towards us that their governments probably wouldn't even know how to respond if they were presented with evidence of such all the time. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Some Arab states, ironically, it's not the Gulf Arab states. I give them credit where it's due, their head on this. But some Levantine Arab states, where the Phoenicians who were black used to live, and North African Arab states, North African, on our mother cuss word continent, have just recently begun to really tackle some of this stuff at the government level. Racism was not illegal in Tunisia in the 2010s. Oh yeah. Now, most Tunisians didn't walk around with hatred for black people, but most of them were not going to sit up and disown their uncles or their grandparents that did have it. So watch these folks and understand, no, these are white supremacists duking it out. All we need to know is what we need to do while they duking it out. How can we make our money with as little involvement with they stank behinds as possible? That's why I'm telling you this. We black, they not. Them not being black is not really the problem for us, but their lack of understanding of our equality is the issue. And I ain't here to educate them no more. You take issues with blackness? I'm not here to discuss why. You forgot that we're your equals? I'm not here to school you on brainwashing. All I want to know is why the hell did you listen to some damn real T-wordist that really went around the globe and terrorized everybody? That's all I want to know. I don't want to know nothing else. Just that. Why did you listen to them instead of us and we weren't your enemies? You stupid sack of shit. And that's for all of them that believed it. The Indian that thinks that white folks are fine and black folks are a problem. The Latino that thinks that. The Persian that thinks it. The Arab that thinks it. The ones who think it consciously and the ones, especially them, and the ones who think it subconsciously because they stupid. You really got to be dumb to think it either way, consciously or subconsciously. You got to be pretty dumb. The difference is that the one who's conscious of this, the conclusion of theirs, is dumb and stubbornly so. So we keep an eye out. We watch. We report. We record. And we make the best educated decision we can make with the information we got, and we do not get willingly involved in either side. Because believe you me, the only way that any of these groups ever get involved in any conflict that involves black folks, whether it's two black parties or one black party and a non-black party, is to profit and benefit themselves or to harm the blackest of the parties in the conflict. Those are the only ways. They do not fiveguk about morality when it comes down to black folks in the conflict. And one of the things that these folks will do, consciously or not, is that they will cooperate to make sure that the better your interests are for black people, the less money you have in the end, because that's who the huck they are. And that's foul the huck they view the world. Black is just not supposed to have more resources and money and valuables than anybody lighter than us. That's how they view it. I hope that, and this doesn't mean that it's every single individual. I'll tell you that it's not. It can't be. But I want you to understand. I want you to keep in mind that I want you to know and remember the importance of something. I want you to know and remember the importance that even though you don't prejudge an individual for something they didn't do, you still understand that the culture they might represent is not your ally. That's why you don't see, that's why I don't walk around with a thobe and a headdress on no matter how many years I live here. I don't walk around with anything on that would identify me as an Arab when I'm not. If so-called Western clothing identified me as white, I wouldn't wear that either. And I don't dress in ways that Western whites dress either. Won't do it. I'd rather look like a 90s rapper in 2050 than to do that. So don't get it twisted. But yeah, that you still are cognizant of the collective of some of these groups of people. And remember, they're not your equals. I mean, collectively, they're not the equal of us collectively, not because anybody was born inferior, superior, but because the racist, the discriminatory one, is automatically inferior than the ones against whom they discriminate for any reason that is involuntary. Western men are superior to Western women, collectively speaking, because we don't discriminate against them for being women, nor do we discriminate against them even for things they do control, let alone things they don't. We don't discriminate against women for being tall. We don't tell them what they don't deserve from any woman at all unless it's recently and it's based on something that they control, that they decided to do. We just recently began to say that some of the dumb ones, the conniving ones, the scheming ones, the misandrous ones don't deserve dick or dollar. We just recently began to say that. Recently. And that's based on things they control. That's what makes us superior. Same thing when it comes to race and culture. I hope this helps. Again, thank you, Jacques, for this. As always, black heart, black mind, black out, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction of Judgment Day. Thank you for flying with us again here on Jet Black Air, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender justice forever.